Windows 8 and 8.1 respectively are going to most likely go down as the most controversial operating systems released by Microsoft. Releasing at the peak of the all-new tablet craze, Microsoft had a plan to take on this market in the only way they knew how, by designing an operating system around a touchscreen interface. Of course, many desktop users hated this implementation.
There it is. Look at this. What is this bullshit?
It's designed to be touchscreen.
As a result of this, all sorts of different companies released their own devices that would be compatible with this all-new touchscreen interface. And today, we're going to be taking a look at exactly one of these said devices. But before we get too far into specs and details of the tablet itself, we need to backpedal a bit to 2012. After the wild success of Windows 7, Microsoft knew they had to do something to make it as revolutionary and forward-thinking as possible. So, in 2012, Windows 8 was officially unveiled, and it wasn't long before the negative reviews started pouring in from reviewers and consumers alike. You see, people didn't want a tablet operating system, and those who did would much rather have preferred it to be at least a separate operating system to the desktop version. The all-new Metro UI start menu was specifically designed with tablets in mind, which made it a hell of a lot harder to interact with the OS with a keyboard and mouse. One of my favourite videos from the time will always be Mum Reacts to Windows 8 by OS First Timer, which perfectly sums up what the average user of Windows would have seen when using this all-new foreign interface.
Well, there we go.
Yeah,
That
I don't
is-
like it. Hate it. They should pay people for it.
So now we have a basic understanding of where Microsoft went wrong, we can finally look at one of these woefully underpowered devices that was released with Windows 8. This is the Linx 7, featuring a blazingly slow quad-core Intel Atom, a measly 1GB of RAM and 32GB of internal eMMC storage, all displaying on a 7-inch touchscreen display running a resolution of 1280 by 800. And on the software side of things, it comes with a full copy of Windows 8.1 32-bit out of the box. All of this would have set you back £70 at the time of release. So obviously this thing doesn't scream out as a gaming rig or even a basic e-reader, but let's see whether these specs could be good enough for day-to-day usage and see how far we can push this little thing. So straight off the bat, these small tablets were released during the tablet craze era and are not known for being powerful. In fact, just trying to navigate through Windows alone was quite the chore. Programs refused to load, menus would pop up at random, and generally the machine would just get too warm to comfortably hold. So as a demonstration of this, we have a little bit of an overview on what web browsing is like. The implementation of the on-screen keyboard in Windows just isn't the same as Android or iOS, as you have to manually open it whenever you want to type something in. But generally, websites like YouTube worked a charm, and even running videos in 1080p was perfectly doable thanks to the integrated GPU in that little atom. So doing some light web browsing will work, albeit slightly choppy on some heavier sites, mostly due to that 1GB of RAM. A very similar issue to what Vista had on launch, something that will be covered in a future video, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Next, I decided to test a little bit of gaming, and while I didn't really go into extensive detail on benchmarks, as that's not really what this tablet was designed for, but using a micro USB to USB adapter for a keyboard and mouse, I was able to play a quick game of Counter-Strike 1.6, running in the 1280 by 800 resolution with high settings enabled, where we pulled off 26 FPS on average. Honestly, not terrible performance from a 7-inch fanless tablet, but this game is running on an engine from the 90s, so performance was definitely not a surprise. Camera quality is, well, abysmal, as seen in some of these example shots. You may as well just dot some pixels onto a piece of paper and say you took a photo, because that's what this quality looks like. Another aspect of this tablet that is once again abysmal is sound quality. Featuring a single wimpy little speaker located on the bottom, while it's not the worst sound I've ever heard, it's certainly not great compared to my iPad 7th gen. Take a listen. And a final point to touch on is build quality. It's understandable that this tablet was able to sell at the low price it did when it was brand new, because there is not a single area on the device that you can touch that is not made of plastic, even on the screen, which not only reduces the visual quality of the display, but also makes it really hard to interact with the tablet, because of the amount of flex in the plastic and inaccuracy of the touchscreen. So what this review really comes down to, and the final point I have to make, is that Windows 8 was a really questionable release from the beginning, and the plethora of cheap random touchscreen devices and tablets that emerged from this period were completely underpowered for any real day-to-day usage. The only real high-quality touchscreen portable computers that were released from the era came from Microsoft themselves, with their Surface line of devices. Funny that the manufacturer of the device and the OS developed the two to run perfectly together, right? But there you guys go. My review of the Linx 7 alongside my analysis of why this tablet was created at the time it was. While Microsoft hasn't totally abandoned the idea, with a tablet mode feature being embedded into Windows 10, it's clear to see that it never really took off in the way they expected. The Surface Pro line is still thriving, with new models being brought out quite frequently with even more features in every refresh. But I think that for the rest of the cheaper brands who experimented in the Windows 8 days, it will be a while until we see a next touchscreen implementation from them to take over the way we control our computers. Thank you all very much for watching, leave a like if you did enjoy it, and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.